Hello and welcome to the news on NTA International. I am Frama Panyi. My sign language interpreter is John Bamidele. And just to inform you, we're streaming live on Vision TV 247 and other social media platforms on your TV screen. And let's see the headlines. Vice President Kashim Shettima and National Security Advisor Nuhu Ribadu condemn Plateau State killings, condole victims. Russia reopens embassy in Burkina Faso after nearly 32 years. And U.S. delegation meets with Mexican government on migration and border issues. There is a strong indication that the 2024 budget awaiting legislative passage and presidential approval will heavily focus on capital projects to improve infrastructures across the country. President Bola Tinubu gave the hint when he received members of the APC National Working Committee at his Lagos private residence. Details of that report will come in our subsequent bulletin. And for the past 20 years, the harrowing experiences occasioned by communal, religious and ethnic crises in Plateau State are one too many. As a result of this, Vice President Kashim Shettima and the National Security Advisor Nuhu Ribadu says enough is enough. The duo expressed this concern while on a sympathy visit to Plateau State over the recent crisis in Bokas, Mongu and Barkin-Ladi local government areas that claimed many lives and property. Ilyasu Yakubu has a report.
The visit of the Vice President Kashim Shettima to identify with the victims of the crisis elicited the feeling of sense of belonging among the victims. The Vice President said the lost glory of Plateau State as home of peace and tourism must be restored as he directed security agencies to fish out the perpetrators. He expressed sadness over what he described as unnecessary taking of human lives and appeal for peace to reign.
There is no religion that sanctions the killing of the innocent. The hottest place in hell will be reserved for those who shed the blood of the innocent. But most importantly, this government is determined to dispense justice.
We have to find in our own heart and by our own actions, with our own resolve and commitment, and say enough is enough.
Plateau State Governor Caleb Manasseh Mutfwan thanked the Vice President for the show of solidarity and promised to work with all relevant stakeholders for the entrenchment of peace on the plateau.
We, the leaders of the plateau, will become united. Amen. And I want to believe that the seed of that unity has been sown, that the blood of the innocent lives have been shed will continue to speak to our conscience, that we will rise to the occasion. Enough is enough.
The National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, has been directed by the Vice President to immediately commence the distribution of relief materials to cushion the effects of the crisis.
The materials have been loaded, and like I assured the Vice President, these materials will start arriving the state capital in another 2 hours.
The Vice President charged traditional rulers and opinion leaders to always dialogue among the people to prevent bloodshed. From Bokos local government in the area of Plateau State, Ilyasu Yakubu, NTA News.
And in a similar development, the Minister of Police Affairs, Ibrahim Gaidam, condemns the killings in Bokas, Barkin-Ladi and Mongu local government areas of Plateau State. In a statement, the minister assures that the leadership of the force is resolute in its commitment to bringing the perpetrators of this heinous crime to justice in line with the directives of Mr. President. No stone will be left unturned in apprehending both the collaborators and the prime suspects involved in this crime against humanity. Meanwhile, the minister prays for the quick recovery of the injured citizens and security agencies who bravely worked to secure the affected villages while reiterating the need to stand together and cooperate with security agencies in providing vital information that can assist in arresting these criminals. The minister also condoles the affected families. The acting Nigerian High Commissioner to the United Kingdom, Ambassador Cyprian Tese, has admonished Nigerians in the diaspora to continue to promote unity despite the country's diversity. He made the call at the end-of-year celebration by Nigerians living in the UK. Correspondent Olawale Hamzat reports.
Yes, I see you, fine gentlemen.
Members drawn from various groups under the umbrella of the Central Association of Nigerians in the UK, CANOC, gathered to thank God for an eventful 2023. Adorned in their colorful traditional attires and elegant fabrics, the women and men were treated to a delectable music performance by the sax band. The acting Nigerian High Commissioner to the United Kingdom, Ambassador Cyprian Tese, admonished Nigerians in the diaspora to continue to support each other where necessary.
Our ability to transcend tribal, religious, and regional differences is not only a testament to the resilience of our people, but also to the potentials we possess when we stand together as one community.
We've had a good year. It's been a tough year. We're still standing. CANOC is waxing strong. We're going from strength to strength. We look forward to 2024. We hope it's going to be a happy and prosperous year.
I'm so proud to be a Nigerian, and I'm so proud to be part of this association because we meet together, we support one another. Anywhere people have shortcomings, we find a solution to support each other.
The event was spiced by some cultural dances and iconic performances. Olawale Hamzat, NTA, London.
And Russia says it will reopen its embassy in Burkina Faso, which had been closed for nearly 32 years. To this end, Burkina Faso's Minister of Foreign Affairs has received Russia's ambassador to Côte d'Ivoire, Alexei Saltykov, who will head the mission until a new ambassador is named. Uche Ugochukwu reports.
Following an October deal to construct a nuclear power plant in Burkina Faso, Russia reopened its embassy in Ouagadougou after nearly 32 years without a diplomatic presence in the West African nation. The Russian ambassador to Côte d'Ivoire, Alexei Saltykov, said Russian President Vladimir Putin would name the new envoy. Saltykov says he would head the mission in Burkina Faso until the new ambassador is named and described Burkina Faso as an old partner with whom Russia has solid and friendly ties. Burkina Faso last year experienced 2 military coups, both triggered in part by discontent at failures to stem a raging jihadist insurgency. Since coming to power in September 2022, the ruling junta has distanced itself from France, its historic partner and former colonial power, and embraced Russia. In October, Burkina Faso signed a deal with Russia for the construction of a nuclear power plant to increase the energy supply to the Sahel country, where less than a quarter of the population have access to electricity. Uche Ugochukwu, NTA News.
And U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken meets Mexican President Andrés López Obrador about the border crisis, and the U.S. wants Mexico to block migrants at its southern border with Guatemala or make it harder for them to travel across Mexico. Mexico, on its part, wants the U.S. to send more aid to migrants' home countries and reduce or eliminate sanctions on Cuba and Venezuela. Uche Ugochukwu again has a report.
Top Mexican and U.S. officials said they made progress in emergency talks on curbing insurgent migration, which has become a major headache for President Joe Biden as he enters an election year. Secretary of State Antony Blinken paid an unusual Christmas week visit to Mexico City as the rival Republican Party presses Biden for a migration crackdown in return for agreeing in Congress to one of his key priorities, which is support for Ukraine. The one-day trip was announced last week after Biden spoke via telephone with Mexican President Andrés López Obrador, who met for more than 2 hours with Blinken and other top U.S. officials. López Obrador, writing afterwards on X, formerly known as Twitter, said important agreements were reached for the benefit of their peoples and nations. A senior Biden administration official said Mexican leaders told the U.S. delegation about new measures they are taking, including a crackdown on smugglers who are putting migrants on buses or trains to the border. The official, however, said the United States knows to never draw conclusions based on day-to-day fluctuations of migrant numbers, and the countries would stay in close contact in 2024, an election year for both countries. Reports say the number of people seeking to enter the United States without authorization had shot up this month to around 10,000 a day, nearly double the number before the pandemic. Uche Ugochukwu, NTA News.
Thousands of protesters gathered in Buenos Aires to oppose a series of measures unveiled by President Javier Milei to deregulate the country's economy. Uche Ugochukwu reports that some of the protesters had a clash with riot police.
Into office in December 10, President Javier Milei's ultra-libertarian plan involves changing or scrapping more than 350 economic regulations, including many protecting people from price rises at a time of high poverty and inflation. Thousands of Argentines clashed with police as they protested the decree of sweeping economic reform. Marching at the bidding of labor unions, the protesters demanded the courts to intervene to invalidate the mega decree they say would cave away at worker and consumer protections. Congress is sitting in an extraordinary session this week at the request of the president, who on Wednesday had sent a package of bills to give effect to his decree to Parliament. The decree would change or scrap economic regulations in a country accustomed to heavy government intervention in the market. It, among other things, abolished a price ceiling on rent, eliminating some worker protection, and scrapped laws shielding consumers from abusive price increases at a time annual inflation exceeds 160% and poverty levels surpass 40%. A number of civil groups had filed a court motion to have the decree declared unconstitutional. The protesters waved Argentine flags and placards reading, "The homeland is not for sale." Others read, "We do not question the legitimacy of President Milei, but we want him to respect the division of powers, and workers need to defend their rights when there is an unconstitutionality." Uche Ugochukwu, NTA News.
Hundreds of Indonesian university students stormed a government convention hall in the city of Banda Aceh, forcefully evicting Rohingya refugees and demanding their immediate deportation. The students forced the 137 Rohingya refugees outside the temporary shelter into trucks to deport them. The report says these trucks then transported the refugee to the Aceh Regional Office of the Ministry of Law and Human Rights. The United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees stated in a statement that it was deeply disturbed to see the mob attack on a site meant to shelter vulnerable refugee families, the majority of whom are children and women. Since November, more than 1,500 Rohingya refugees have arrived on the shores of Aceh province. The United Nations commented that it is the largest influx in 8 years. This is the news on NTA International. We're streaming live on the agricultural sector now. The federal government says it is mobilizing resources for massive investment in rice production this dry season. Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, Abba Kyari, says it is set to release 10 integrated rice mills to investors towards meeting the country's demand for the produce. Musa Baba Aliyu reports.
The federal government has awarded contracts for the establishment of 10 integrated rice mills in 10 states and the Federal Capital Territory. This one, located in Suleja, Niger State, with the capacity of milling 200 tons per day, has been completed and currently being test run. And the Minister of Agriculture and Food Security is here for inspection. He was told that the idea of the establishment of the mills was conceived with a view to encouraging investors to invest in the government's self-sufficiency project.
The sustainability of this project is production. Once you produce paddy, this project will be alive. So I think that is one key that we need to make double our efforts, and we need to produce more.
And here are Chinese investors taking ministers around their farm facility located in Buari Area Council. The farm, under the auspices of China Aid Nigeria Agricultural Technology, serves as a demonstration, research and exhibition center. The minister picked interest in the new rice seed variety produced by the Chinese, capable of producing 8 tons per hectare.
We're also made to understand that Gawa R1 variety is sought after by our farmers. So we want to impress on them more to give us more of the seed, because right now for both types they have like 500 metric tons. We want much more than that.
The farm is also expected to assist in extension services and other innovation in farming. From Buari Area Council, Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
The federal government has vowed to continue to create an enabling environment for businesses to thrive by issuing Executive Orders 001, 002 and 003 to ministries, extra ministerial departments and agencies to promote transparency and efficiency in the Nigerian business environment. The Permanent Secretary Special Duties Office in the Office of the Head of Civil Service of the Federation, Farouk Yusuf Yabo, said this at a workshop on the implementation of Executive Orders 001, 002 and 003 for heads of Servicom units nationwide in Abuja. Haman Jabani reports.
The Executive Order 001 is for the promotion of transparency, default approval, port operations, registration of businesses, entry and experience of visitors and travelers, promote global best practices, reduce costs, and reduce time for completion of regulatory processes. While Executive Order 002 and 003 give Made in Nigeria products preference in the procurement of certain items, and at least 40% of the procurement expenditure on these items in all MDAs of the federal government should be locally manufactured goods or local service provider. Permanent Secretary, Special Duties Office, Office of the Head of the Civil Service of the Federation, Farouk Yusuf Yabo, who was represented, says the implementation of these orders is of strategic importance to the federal government as the country seeks to create an enabling environment for businesses, promote transparency and efficiency, promote economic diversification, promote local industries, and stimulate the growth of the national economy. He said MDAs were directed to adhere strictly to the provisions of the executive orders as contained in the guidelines for implementation, and that the order specified various deadlines for implementation. In order to drive the implementation and operationalization of the Executive Order 001 by ministries, the head of the Civil Service of the Federation and Secretary to the Government of the Federation were directed to organize training workshop for various cadres, starting with the head of agencies, and MDAs that are yet to comply are expected to do so. The participants were taken through the executive orders and what is expected of them. Hamman Jabani, NTA News.
And the Minister of State for Defense, Mohammed Bello, has charged senior officers of the Nigerian Army to redouble their efforts and synergize across services to combat the nation's emerging security threats. Defense correspondent Ismail Musa reports that the minister gave the charge at the investiture of newly promoted senior army officers in Abuja.
The dreams and aspiration of every military officer is to rise to the peak of their career, particularly the enviable rank of a major general. So, to these 47 brigadier generals, elevated to a 2-star general, it is a dream come true.
Your promotion is a testimony of your many years of hard work, dedication, and commitment to serving our great nation. As a Nigerian, I know firsthand the sacrifices that come with attaining the height of it takes. It is a lot of courage, discipline, and resilience to rise through the rank of Major Generals.
In the words of the Chief of Army Staff, promotion comes from God, but hard work and commitment to duty are also critical.
I must acknowledge that the process that produced the 47 Major Generals who have just decorated may not have been perfect, but I must add that it was as fair and thorough as possible to produce near-perfect results.
75 other promoted senior officers are to be decorated in their various units and formations. In Abuja, Ismail Musa, NTA News.
And the federal government has deployed 45 more aircraft, helicopters and other platforms to the Nigerian Air Force in the last 6 months to fight banditry and insurgency. Chief of the Air Staff, Air Marshal Hassan Abubakar, stated this while in Mina to attend a Christmas luncheon organized for the air personnel of 13 Quick Response Force, Mina, Niger State. Fatima Usman reports.
The Christmas luncheon organized for the air personnel of the 13 Quick Response Force, Mina, is to appreciate the effort, commitment and sacrifice of the troops in the fight against insecurity in the zone. Air Marshal Hassan Abubakar said the gallant effort and devotion of the Nigerian military to duty remains a beacon of hope for all Nigerians. He said in the last 6 months, Nigerians have witnessed how the combined effort of NAF alongside other sister service decimated scores of terrorist leaders, their foot soldiers, as well as their structures and logistics. These giant strides, including the use of both kinetic and non-kinetic approach, have also reduced freedom of movement enjoyed by these criminals to the barest minimum.
Other pending acquisitions include 2 CASA 295 medium airlift aircraft, 12 AH-1 Zulu attack helicopters, and 24 M346 attack aircraft. All these acquisitions demonstrate the federal government of Nigeria's deep commitment to equipping the Nigerian Air Force for the employment and projection of air power to address all the current security challenges.
The 013 Quick Response Force is tasked with the role of force generation for rapid deployment to crisis areas. The unit is also saddled with the responsibility to curb continuous killings and provide security for law-abiding citizens of Niger State.
It is also on record that the last 6 months, 4 Diamond 62 multipurpose aircraft, 2 T-129 attack helicopters, and 1 Beechcraft 360 King Air were secured by the Air Force. In Mina, I'm Fatima Usman, NTA News.
And reigning African Female Best Player of the Year, Nigeria's Asisat Oshoala, has presented her award to President Bola Tinubu and the First Lady Oluremi Tinubu. She made the presentation at the Ikoyi residence of the President. While receiving Oshoala, the President thanked her for her feat, noting that winning the award for the 6th time is not only historical, but helps to reinforce Nigeria's leadership position in sports.
It's very uplifting for us and the country to have Shala winning the African Footballer of the Year for female. It means the female sport and athletes will be fully, encouraged and recognized.
The First Lady, who earned the title of Soccer Mom for her support to the Super Falcons during their outing at the last Women's Soccer in Australia and New Zealand. Oshola's record lifting of the award is an inspiration for women in the country.
Not like what Mr. President said. Since I have a youth camp, that she's telling me about the youth soccer academy that she has. And I think we have more to do with that. The youth camp is ready. I was just saying after this meeting, we'll sit down, we'll have a private talk.
House correspondents, after the presentation, Oshoala applauded the support of the First Lady to the team when it mattered most.
I think, first of all, really love to appreciate the President and the First Lady for actually giving me the opportunity to present the award to them. Because I feel like during the World Cup tournament we had a couple of issues and they came in to actually help us out, and especially Mommy after the tournament she actually stretched
Now